to Millennium News Hour. I am Tanziba Naurin. In today's bulletin, we will present important news from across the nation and the world. Let's begin with the headlines of the day. Zelensky thanks every American, sees turning point. Zelensky's surprise visit to DC was months in the making. Temperatures fall far and fast as winter storm threatens US. Arizona to remove shipping container wall from Mexico border. Senate passes 1.7 trillion bill to fund government aid Ukraine. US House passes equal pay bill in latest women's soccer win. Top Gun Black Panther advance in Oscars shortlist. China limits how it defines COVID deaths in official count. India to randomly test international visitors for COVID-19. Israel's Netanyahu says he has formed new government. Seoul said North Korean hackers stole 1.2 billion in virtual assets. Thailand hosts informal meeting on Myanmar political crisis. Palace cancer worsens kidneys and heart affected. NFL Sunday ticket headed to YouTube beginning next season. Former Broncos RB Ronnie Hillman dies at 31. And Venus Williams awarded wildcard entry for Australian Open. Now news in detail. Ukraine's Vladimir Zelensky told cheering US legislators during a defiant wartime visit to the nation's capital on Wednesday that against all odds his country still stands, thanking Americans for helping to fund the war effort with money that is not charity but an investment in global security and democracy. The whirlwind stop in Washington, his first known trip outside his country since Russia invaded in February, was aimed at reinvigorating support for his country in the US and around the world at a time when there is concern that allies are growing weary of the costly war and its disruption to global food and energy supplies. Zelensky called the tens of billions of dollars in US military and economic assistance provided over the past year vital to Ukraine's efforts to beat back Russia and appealed for even more in the future. Your money is not charity. He sought to reassure both those in the room and those watching at home. It's an investment in the global security and democracy that we handle in the most responsible way. Just before his arrival, the US announced a new $1.8 billion military aid package, including for the first time Patriot surface-to-air missiles. And Congress plans to vote this week on a fresh spending package that includes about $45 billion in additional emergency assistance to Ukraine. The speech to Congress came after President Joe Biden hosted Zelensky in the Oval Office for strategic consultations, saying the US and Ukraine would maintain their united defense as Russia wages a brutal assault on Ukraine's right to exist as a nation. Biden pledged to help bring about a just peace. The idea of a daring wartime trip by Vladimir Zelensky to Washington had percolated for some time before the surprise visit was revealed just hours ahead of the Ukrainian president's arrival. During an October summit in Zagreb, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi discussed with her counterpart in the Ukrainian parliament the prospect of Zelensky addressing the US Congress. Biden administration officials had similarly for months talked with Ukraine about a Zelensky visit to the White House, hoping for one before year's end to send an unmistakable signal of support ahead of a brutal winter that could deepen Russian President Vladimir Putin's assault. In previous calls, Zelensky had indicated to President Joe Biden and other senior officials that the United States was the first country he wanted to visit when the time was right for him to travel, according to a US official with knowledge of the conversations. So, in a December 11th phone call between the two leaders, Biden reiterated the invitation. This time, Zelensky told Biden was the right time. Temperatures plunged far and fast Thursday as a winter storm began forming ahead of Christmas weekend, promising heavy snow, ice, flooding and powerful winds across a broad swath of the country and complicating holiday travel. The National Weather Service reported that temperatures across the center-high plains plummeted 50 degrees Fahrenheit in just a few hours. In much of the country, the Christmas weekend could be the coldest in decades. This is not like a snow day when you were a kid, President Joe Biden warned Thursday in the Oval Office after a briefing from federal officials. This is serious stuff. The frigid air will move through the central United States to the east, with wind chill advisories affecting about 135 million people over the coming days. Weather Service meteorologist Ashton Robinson Cook said Thursday. Forecasters are expecting a bomb cyclone when atmospheric pressure drops very quickly in a strong storm to develop near the Great Lakes, which will increase winds and create blizzard conditions, Cook said. Arizona Governor Doug Ducey will take down a makeshift wall made of shipping containers at the Mexico border, setting a lawsuit and political tussle with the U.S. government over trespassing on federal lands. The Biden administration and the Republican governor entered into an agreement that Arizona will cease installing the containers in any national forest, according to court documents filed Wednesday in U.S. District Court in Phoenix. The agreement also calls for Arizona to remove the containers that were already installed in the remote San Rafael Valley in southeastern Cochise County by January 4 without damaging any natural resources. State agencies will have to consult with U.S. Forest Service representatives. The resolution comes 2 weeks before Democrat Katie Hobbs, who opposes the construction, takes over as governor. The Senate appeared back on track Thursday to pass a $1.7 trillion bill to finance federal agencies through September and provide roughly $45 billion in military and economic assistance to Ukraine after lawmakers reached agreement on a final series of votes. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer announced that the Senate had an agreement to consider some 15 amendments before voting on final passage of the package. Most of the amendments will be subject to a 60-vote threshold to pass, generally dooming them to failure in the evenly divided 100-member Senate. It's taken a while, but it is worth it, Schumer said in announcing the series of votes, which were needed to lock in an expedited vote on final passage and get the bill to President Joe Biden's desk before a partial government shutdown would begin at midnight Friday. The House will take up the bill after the Senate completes its work. The House has passed a bill that ensures equal compensation for U.S. women competing in international events, a piece of legislation that came out of the U.S. women's soccer team's long battle to be paid as much as the men. The Equal Pay for Team USA Act, passed late Wednesday, will require all athletes representing the United States in global competition to receive equal pay and benefits in their sport, regardless of gender. It covers America's 50-plus national sports and requires the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee to handle oversight. The bill had earlier passed the Senate with unanimous support. It now heads to President Joe Biden's desk. The bill stems from a federal gender discrimination lawsuit the US woman filed against US Soccer in 2019. Earlier this year, the women signed a new collective bargaining agreement that included identical pay structures for men and women and equitable distribution of World Cup prize money. Blockbusters like Top Gun Maverick, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and Avatar The Way of Water, and pop stars like Lady Gaga, Taylor Swift, and Rihanna just got one step closer to getting Oscar nominations. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences on Wednesday announced shortlists in 10 categories for the 95th Oscars, including documentary feature, international film, makeup and hairstyling, score, original song, sound, visual effects, and shorts. Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu's Bardo Falls Chronicle of a Handful of Truths was among the 15 films shortlisted in the international film category, one of the most competitive. The category also includes already decorated films like Holy Spider, All Quiet on the Western Front, Saint Omer, Corsage, EO, Return to Seoul, Decision to Leave, Close, and Argentina 1985. Now it's time for global updates. China only counts deaths from pneumonia or respiratory failure in its official COVID-19 death toll, a Chinese health official said, a narrow definition that limits the number of deaths being reported as the virus surged following the easing of pandemic-related restrictions. Deaths that occur in patients with pre-existing illnesses are not counted as COVID-19 deaths, said Wang Guqiang, the head of infectious disease at Peking University's #1 hospital. China has always been conservative in how it counts illnesses, whether the flu or COVID-19. In most countries, including the United States, guidelines stipulate that any death in which COVID-19 is a factor or contributor is counted as a COVID-19 related death. In effect, Wang's comments on Tuesday clarified publicly what the country has been doing throughout the pandemic. On Wednesday, China reported no new COVID-19 deaths and subtracted one death from its overall toll, lowering it to 5,241, according to a daily tally issued by the National Health Commission, which did not explain the decrease. India has begun randomly testing international passengers arriving at its airports for COVID-19, the country's health minister said Thursday, citing an increase in cases in neighboring China. Mansukh Mandaviya announced the new rule in Parliament, where he also urged state governments to increase surveillance for any new coronavirus variants and send samples of all positive cases to genome sequencing laboratories. Mandaviya also asked the public to wear masks and maintain social distancing, even though there are no official mandates for either. India relaxed its mask-wearing rules earlier this year after coronavirus cases began dropping sharply. It has reported the most COVID-19 cases in the world since the pandemic began, but confirmed infections have fallen sharply in the past few months. According to Health Ministry data, India currently has about 3,400 active coronavirus cases. Designated Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced late Wednesday that he has successfully formed a new coalition, setting the stage for him to return to power as head of the most right-wing Israeli government ever to hold office. Netanyahu made the announcement in a phone call to President Isaac Herzog moments before a midnight deadline. His Likud party released a brief video clip of the smiling Netanyahu and a recording of the conversation. I wanted to announce to you that thanks to the amazing public support we received in the elections, I have succeeded in forming a government that will take care of all the citizens of Israel, Netanyahu said. The move came after weeks of surprisingly difficult negotiations with his partners, who still have need to finalize their power-sharing deals with Netanyahu's Likud party. Nonetheless, Netanyahu said he intends to complete the process as soon as possible next week. A date for its swearing-in wasn't immediately announced. North Korean hackers have stolen an estimated 1.5 trillion won in cryptocurrency and other virtual assets in the past 5 years, more than half of it this year alone, South Korea's spy agency said Thursday. Experts and officials say North Korea has turned to crypto hacking and other illicit cyber activities as a source of badly needed foreign currency to support its fragile economy and fund its nuclear program following harsh UN sanctions and the COVID-19 pandemic. South Korea's main spy agency, the National Intelligence Service, said North Korea's capacity to steal digital assets is considered among the best in the world because of the country's focus on cybercrimes since UN economic sanctions were toughened in 2017 in response to its nuclear and missile tests. Three cabinet ministers from Myanmar attended an informal regional meeting in Thailand's capital on Thursday to discuss efforts to restore peace in the military-run country, Thai officials said. The open-ended informal consultation was meaningful, with ministers engaging in free-flow and proactive discussions, Thai Foreign Ministry spokesperson Kanchana Pattarachok said. Representatives from Cambodia, Laos and Vietnam also attended the meeting. There was no indication that the talks made any progress toward resolving Myanmar's crisis or in facilitating more engagement with its generals. Myanmar's military government is shunned by many nations for seizing power and violently suppressing opposition to its rule. But neighboring Thailand has remained on good terms with the generals and refrained from serious criticism. Now it's time for business news. Now a look of today's sports stories. Pele's health has worsened during his hospital stay to regulate his cancer medication, doctors said Wednesday. The Albert Einstein Hospital in Sao Paulo said in a statement Wednesday that Pele's cancer has advanced and that the 82-year-old Brazilian soccer great is under elevated care related to kidney and cardiac dysfunctions. The hospital did not mention any signs of the three-time World Cup winner's recent respiratory infection, which was aggravated by COVID-19. Edson Arantes do Nascimento, who is globally known as Pele, is undergoing chemotherapy in his fight against cancer since he had a colon tumor removed in September 2021. Neither his family nor the hospital have said whether it had spread to other organs. Kelly Nascimento, one of his daughters, said Pele will stay in the hospital during Christmas. Fans will have to Google it beginning next season if they want to access the NFL's Sunday ticket package. The NFL announced a multi-year agreement on Thursday for Google to distribute the package of out-of-market Sunday afternoon games on YouTube TV and YouTube primetime channels. The NFL was seeking $2.5 billion per season for the package, which has been on DirecTV since 1994. The satellite provider has paid 1.5 billion per year on an 8-year contract that expires at the end of this season. Commissioner Roger Goodell said during an interview with CNBC over the summer that the next move for Sunday Ticket would be to a streaming service because that would be the best option for fans. Goodell reiterated that with Thursday's announcement. Running back Ronnie Hillman, who was part of the Denver Broncos team that owns Super Bowl 50, has died, his family said in a statement. He was 31. Hillman's family posted on his Instagram account Wednesday that he was diagnosed in August with a rare form of kidney cancer called renal medullary carcinoma and was under hospice care. The family wrote hours later that he died surrounded by family and close friends. The Broncos expressed their condolences on social media Thursday morning. Venus Williams has been awarded a wildcard entry to play at the Australian Open next month, 25 years after she played the Grand Slam tournament for the first time. The 42-year-old Williams has reached the final twice in Australia, including a loss to her younger sister Serena in the 2017 championship match. She will be contesting the season-opening major for the 22nd time. I have been competing in the country for over 20 years now, and the Australian community has always supported me wholeheartedly, the 7-time major winner said in a statement. Venus and Serena Williams combined to win the Australian Open women's doubles title 4 times, and Venus also won the mixed doubles title in 1998 with fellow American Justin Gimelstob. Serena Williams will not be contesting the January 16 to 29 tournament at Melbourne Park after announcing at the US Open that she was ready to evolve away from tennis. Let's have a look on today's weather chart. That's all in today's news. Keep watching Millennium News 24 for latest updates. Millennium TV USA and Millennium News 24 network is transmitted and available to be watched free for all at TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV and Apple TV, and also in all European countries and Australia, available with Sky Network, Worldwide Jagu TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jagu BD Network and Horizon Satellite globally. Stay connected with us for all types of informative and entertainment program. Thank you.